everybody, and welcome to a very twangy episode of Bloody Good Horror. My name's Eric, and I'll be your host for this evening, where we will be reviewing Torn Hearts. It's about country music ladies and all the drama that happens around that. Starring Katie Sagal, of course, of like everything fame. Did anybody else catch who the manager was? I know Caitlin did because she reads cast lists. She didn't.
Oh,
I can
meant
tell
to
by her
check 'cause
face
he was
she didn't.
striking some. Who was that?
That is Josh from the Blair Witch Project.
I was focused on the guy that played the country music star is Shiloh Fernandez, who's from Dead Girl. So I was so focused on him.
I do recognize that guy too now that you say that. Yeah, so the last time I saw that guy was probably Altered. Him and both of the main dudes from Blair Witch were in Altered, and they're really good.
I think I'd seen him in one or two things beyond that. He was a cop on a TV show or something at one point.
He was in that weird lake shark movie. He played like the shark boy in that movie. What was that called?
Shark Boy and Lava Girl?
No,
yeah.
What was that movie called? It was like a horror movie where there's like genetically modified sharks in a lake. It was something really stupid. We did it like 10 years ago.
I know what you're talking about. I can't think of the time.
Thank you, Kate. I'll find it. Anyway, tonight we're here to talk about Torn Hearts. No Schnars. Joining me tonight, though, first up from Indiana, please welcome Casey.
Hello.
From Richmond, Virginia, it's Caitlin from Richmond, Virginia.
Hello. I wanted to do the 2 up, 2 down to make the VA, but I think if I do it, it does it backwards for y'all, so.
Next
a special treat for the live stream.
Next up from
patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror.
From the Bay Area, please welcome back from the Zombie Girls, Matilda.
Hey there.
And rocking the green hair, as always. I really like it. How often do you have to get that done? That's my question.
I do it every few weeks. Green actually holds pretty well.
Yeah. Interesting.
Probably have like a color conditioning regimen and such.
This last person would know. That voice you hear joining us tonight. You can't do a movie about country music without having somebody from Memphis on. So please welcome Elizabeth to the show.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
I know it's not Nashville, but you have schooled me in the Nashville-Memphis rivalry.
There's a rivalry for sure. Yeah.
All right, y'all. Let's. Shar's not here to make fun of, so let's jump right into it here and review Torn Hearts.
This is it, Jennifer. Your big break in TV. Up the front time. Main feature.
I don't know what it is. Something about having Schnars on video here with me. I just look at him and I just start riffing. I just can't help it. It just happens.
He's your muse.
Yeah, that's true. In his stead, though, Caitlin, you are going to bring us the word of the day this week. So please, do that.
All right, buddy. The word of the day is hagsploitation. Hagsploitation is a subgenre of horror that features a formerly glamorous older star who plays an insane woman who terrorizes those around her.
That is so specific.
It's also, some people refer to it as psychobiddy, which is a mixture of horror, women's film elements, primarily involving aging women who have grown mentally unbalanced and violent.
Okay, I like that way better because it would make a really cool shirt.
Psychobiddy?
Yeah.
I know that term from your podcast, Caitlin.
Yeah, we used it for X. Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Nice.
Caitlin, would you like to tell us what this movie's about?
Yeah, sure. So Torn Hearts, a Brea Grant, who I always joke is my cousin. She's not my cousin. A Brea Grant joint. It's about 2 girls, Lee and Jordan, who are a country music duo trying to, find their way in Nashville. They've got a manager who's a bit of a dick, we'll say. Is that okay to say in the intro? I don't know. But he's trying to get them on tour with a singer named Caleb. It's not going great. So they take the opportunity to go visit one of their country music icons. I believe Harper Duchess is her name, formerly of Harper and Hope Duchess, a sister duo. Hope had been, she died by suicide, sort of at the peak of their career, and Harper has been living solo ever since. So Lee and Jordan go to Harper for quote unquote advice, hopefully to collab on a single, and I think that's maybe where we should leave it. It gets hexploitation psycho biddy.
And they find out she's a psycho biddy.
They find
super vital important update. That shark movie I'm talking about is called Shark Night.
Mm.
Came out in
Nice.
2010. All right, let's dive right in here. Matilda, what do you think?
I really liked this movie. I have more to say about it later, and kind of the DNA that I think it shares with like Jennifer's Body, and goes a kind of interesting different direction with it. But I thought it was great. I thought you could really feel the Brea Grant of it between 12-Hour Shift and this. Like there's some interesting
I do love
similar stuff.
I do love 12-Hour Shift.
Yeah. And Katie Sagal is just fantastic in this, as she is in things. So yeah, I'm excited to talk about this one.
Elizabeth.
Yeah. I love nothing more than to make people listen to me sing. So this really spoke to me, this movie. Like I was pretty here for it from the jump, and it did not disappoint. It was just really fun, and I think did interesting things without being too too involved with itself to stand out in the genre. I don't know. Yeah, we'll get into themes and specifics later, but I think that it was maybe something we've seen a little bit before, but done in a really creative, kind of fresh way.
Love it. Casey.
Well, first of all, I want to apologize. Blame it all on my roots. I showed up in boots.
Oh, I should have worn that shirt.
I like this movie. I love Katie Sagal. Ever since I met her as Peg Bundy, she's been high on my list. So it was great seeing her in this movie, and I thought she was great throughout. Story-wise, I liked what this movie was set up to do as well. Everything I thought was pretty well in this. I like this movie a lot, but it felt to me in the end a little bit sleepy as far as a horror movie goes. I think there's definitely horror elements there. I think it stayed more to me, it stayed more on the thriller side than straight up horror. And that's not to say it was bad, because it wasn't a bad movie at all. It's just not exactly what I was expecting and hoping to. And I probably had bad expectations. I don't know why. I didn't know much about this movie except for the cast, and it was made by Brea Grant. I'd never seen a trailer or anything, so I don't know where those expectations come. I was just hoping to see a little more over the top in the back half of it is all. But I did enjoy the movie, and again, that could just be bad expectations.
Caitlin.
I like this one. I really like this story. I think the idea is really solid. The acting is a little up and down for me. Katie Sagal is awesome. I think the gal who played Lee, maybe a little bit weaker of a performance, or maybe that's me projecting because I had like a visceral reaction to that character. But it brought out like a lot of, I don't know, I was really invested in where things were going. I liked that it was really chaotic, and it was scary in a way that I haven't seen in a while, where we have like a true psycho biddy figure that is just manipulative and ruthless. And I don't know, it was cool to see. And forgive me if I'm wrong, but I can't think of another, at least recent movie or horror movie that's been set sort of in like a country music Nashville type setting. It was kind of different. At first I was like, I don't know, but they really leaned into it in an impressive way. I will agree with Casey that there's something I would have changed about the ending, but overall, I would watch this again. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I think I'm probably closest to Casey on this one. I think that it has a lot going for it. Namely, I think the two big things are it's a pretty unique premise. And what I love about it is it's not just a unique setting and characters with thrown into another well-existing type of like subgenre, right? Like it's, in other words, the country music part of it is vital to the plot and the way everything plays. It's like a country music thriller, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's about country music kind of at its core, which is unique, and I like that. I think like watching Katie Sagal just chew scenery is a shit ton of fun. And she's like, she has a presence you feel in this movie that is a lot of fun to watch.
She's scary.
It's
Yeah.
interesting because we didn't actually get any kind of email thread before this show. But Casey, you and I kind of are like dead on together. Like I
Yeah.
enjoyed Seagal's performance so much, and the first act, I loved the first act. Even as we get in the second act, the way they're like ratcheting up tension, right? She loves like focusing on these little gesticulations of the hands and the little
Oh.
turns of mood that are happening. For me, it doesn't go crazy enough. Like, because her
Yeah.
performance is so good. I wanted that shit by the time the third act rolled around to be like batshit, or even just bring in the action sooner. Like, even if they bring in like the main, I don't even know what to call her, like the star of the group or whatever. She takes a stupid ass amount of time to figure out that this is a bad situation. Like, literally, she's still in until she gets a gun pulled on her. But at that point, it's like very clear you're in a murder house, and it's been clear for like a while. So that was kind of wild to me.
She's not the brains, babe. She's the.
To
Yeah,
me,
they're
I
pretty
think so.
clear
Like,
about,
it's a
yeah,
slow burn, and I can
what she's there for.
it's a slow burn. I can definitely appreciate that about it. And some days I'm in a slow burn, some days I'm not. For me, I felt like if they took the real turn into the intense action and just slid it up at like 20 minutes, it was just a little too lingering in its own little like tension stuff. Because eventually that stuff's got to move on. And even,
Yeah.
and because the other thing for me is the directing is a little flat. And I think even compared to the director's previous outing, that's like 12-hour shift. That was the name of that, right? That was like the hospital with Angela Bettis. Like that's a really visually creative film. I remember it had one of the like weirdest soundtracks I'd ever heard. Lots of characters, and there's like an energy to that movie that's maybe just because of the less characters here is kind of lacking. But like there are moments that I feel like should be filled with tension that kind of weren't for me. Like the Joshua Leonard character showing up, right? I mean, that's
Richie.
that's classic screenwriting, right? You've got characters in an isolated situation. One way to change things up is to have an interloper, like around this end of the second act or middle of the second act. And that scene's kind of fun, like, and I think what that scene does is it brings home some of the points of the script. Like, you just really what you're getting out of the scene is you're seeing how opportunistic he is. Like, really, he's just trying to make sure he's hitched onto the right lifeboat. Because he immediately is trying to be her manager, you know what I mean? And like this new group or whatever. I just felt like the death could have been shot in a more dramatic, interesting way. Even going in the finale, like, felt kind of flat for me. So it's not bad. I think it's like a really fun, decent little thriller. And the other strength I think it really has is just exploring this relationship between these two creatives and the way that like being female creative sort of lends itself uniquely to like the types of conflicts that they're having because of like the way the world is perceiving them and like the way they're perceiving each other.
Yeah, the pitting of one against the other,
yeah,
and
that the only
competitiveness.
person
I think that stuff is
going to get out of that.
Yeah, I think that
make
stuff
any
is super
money.
interesting. Something about it like was a little flat for me in the end, but I still think it's pretty decent. And just to watch Katie Sagal, honestly, I think is probably worth it.
Yeah.
Eric, did you like because when I guess we already talked about the Richie, the producer character, gets murked, but I do like that Katie Sagal, like the Harper character, is like stabbing that strawberry rhubarb pie with a knife repeatedly and like severe cuts. Like, I think that's like a pretty cool ratchet up to it. But yeah, it could have been a little bit more.
I think, and I think she actually shows she's pretty good at those moments, like the ratcheting up. It was more like for lack of a better phrase, money shot. It's in this movie where I was sort of feeling just something a little pizzazz missing or something.
Exactly.
Yeah, I feel that.
Because like listen to Eric talk about it, that's exactly what it was for me, because Katie Sagal drove us to that tension so well throughout the movie. The tapping of her fingernails on everything,
it builds,
and her little, her little idiosyncrasies and her, twitches and stem or whatever you would call it, and that she was doing throughout that. And watching that, I was expecting, with that much pressure and anxiety building up underneath the surface of her, as the way she was showing that, I think I was hoping for a bigger payoff.
Yeah.
That it was going to be a bigger explosion when it did go off.
I will say, way too many fingers and mouths in this movie for me. Please
I knew
don't,
you were going to have a problem with
please don't do that.
I think maybe it could have been. I do like I like that there's guns in this, and it makes sense given like the setting and the vibe, and they're pink, and like I like that. I like the big pink shotgun, but I maybe would have changed some of those final weapons from the little pistols to something more grandiose to really drive it all home. But I have a question for y'all, and Stars isn't here, so let's pick on him. I know he is not like a huge Brea Grant fan. Do we know why? Do we want to talk about the direction a little bit? Eric, you said it was like not your super.
I don't
fave.
know. I remember kind of being the one who was into 12-hour show. I don't remember what you thought, Casey, but I feel like I might have been the one who was highest on it. There were other people on the show at the time who did not like it. But yeah, I don't really know. I'm actually not that familiar with that part of Schnorz's internal life.
Yeah.
We should call
Let's
him.
get
Live.
his-
We should call him live on the air right now.
You told that.
I'm gonna text him. Elizabeth, how did you obviously like grew up like
It's pretty true.
steeped
The
in this culture? How
douchebaggery
did you
on
feel?
display was very nail on head. Because I'm poised to be critical of shades and flavors of people from the South, and like this is like in my backyard what they're talking about, and like that it was very like the line between basically like I don't want to like be mean to anyone, but like that like youth pastor vibe to like A&R for a Nashville country music label. It's very
Thin line,
and
right?
you felt the understanding of that. She's from Texas, right, Brea Grant?
Yeah,
Oh, I don't
she
know.
grew up in a little town in Texas.
Yeah, you can feel the I think the realness of the Southern patriarchy going on in this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What about anything about the creative relationship or sort of the strife there that you found interesting?
I think I was finishing up embarrassingly close to us going live, and like right at the end, I don't know, we're not spoiling. I don't know where we are with spoilers.
Just
right at the
spoil
end,
the
there's
spoilers, you're
the
fine.
Caleb Crawdad. Sorry, The Office. I was doing it the whole time.
Caleb Crawdad.
Him performing the song that basically it is saying sort of the bow on the top of the story is that like privileged white male like is making money now off of these women fighting to the death in Grey Gardens over
Right, at the end of the day,
who's the voice, who's the face, who's the like.
At the end of the day, they all kill each other, and he's left with the spoils.
Right.
And you know, I like that ending. Like I did not like the ending when everybody was left dead. I was like, well, fuck.
I'm with you. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like right at the end, I was like, oh, okay, that really.
But when they
makes a
showed
difference.
him, like
I
when they
think it
showed
comes
him
together.
sort of being like, this is for them, this is their unfinished, unreleased. Like I was like, okay,
It
like
says
that. I
10,000
do like
candles in the
that.
wind.
You know what it reminded me of
Yes,
is
but-
the ending of A Star Is Born. That's what it reminded me of.
Oh gosh.
But I really think I would have liked it more, even though I had like a visceral reaction to the Lee character. I would have liked for it to have ended with Lee being famous and like taking credit, having the like songbook that she stole. I think like, and that would have pissed me off like as like a, you know, it would have been made like me righteously angry. But I think it would have been maybe, I don't know. I understand where they went with this like little extra ending with Caleb taking sort of credit for everything. But something about like everybody dying, I was like, I don't know, maybe there was a little bit of a waste there.
Can we, Matilda, you also said something in very smart sounding in the email that I didn't understand at all. Could you illuminate that for us?
I think my favorite part of this movie was actually the relationship between the women and the way that the Katie Sagal character is kind of like wedging in there and exploiting the tension that she knows must exist.
What was the word you used? Because it sounded smart.
Oh, like the horizontal hostility between the two of them?
Sure.
Yeah.
That hostility.
Yeah. Because
like
I feel like, you know, the one other time, and the reason I really love the movie Jennifer's Body so much, even though I know it's
perfect,
a lot of flack for various things.
Right.
Yeah, it's great.
It's perfect.
Is that I don't think we get to see that like nuance in female friendships and aggression in close female friendships that much, and that movie did such a good job with it. And what I really love about the way this one does it is because in Jennifer's Body, it's like the hostility comes from them. And in this one, both ways of dealing are kind of adaptations to larger misogyny, right? Like you
Interesting.
really see how both Lee and the other one, it's terrible,
Jordan.
um, there it is.
The ugly
right?
one, Matilda. No,
I
I'm just
know.
kidding.
I
That
thought
was
they
what
were.
they were
I thought
ratcheting
they
up, but
were
she's gorgeous.
both
Yes,
lovely women.
yeah. But like it's so clearly like they're both adaptive strategies to not being taken seriously. They're both adaptive strategies to kind of
that's
like the
interesting.
power structure. And in that context, because that was my favorite part, I actually thought this ending was really effective.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Bria Grant, even in 12-hour shifts, I don't think this spoils 12-hour shift, is that like there's something she's doing with like women's stories that will never be told at the end of the movie. Both times, like, and in 12-hour shifts, that's more triumphant. And in this one, it's a little brutal in a way that's realistic.
Well, it especially too, like when you were talking, sorry, Elizabeth, when you were talking at the beginning of Matilda, like with the way Harper Dutch kind of wedged herself in there too, because I don't know that horizontal hostility was necessarily showing between Lee and Jordan at the beginning, but you could see where Harper Dutch invented that and talked them into worrying about it, and watching her manipulate the two of them was pretty amazing to watch as far as watching it unfold.
I think it was there. I think that's, I think Harper honed in on it because she felt it with Hope, all those years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, having it sort of, ratchet up until she's like, why don't you hit each other?
Yeah.
Like, let it out. And I was like, oh, God.
Yeah. So the next thing I want to talk about is just like favorite kind of moments and scenes. That's kind of mine. But there's a specific moment where it's another one of those slow burn tension builds, and I think it's like right as the slapping starts. This scene is edited really well. They cut to her and she immediately like loosens up, leans over and grabs a drink like as they're starting to slap each other, and then leans over the other way and flips on a switch and a disco ball comes on.
Yes.
Just like that little subtle acting moment was honestly my favorite moment in the whole movie.
Yeah, the lounge vibe of it all.
She's like, oh shit, here we go. Like she was getting horny over it. Like she was just very excited all of a sudden.
I think she is the best iteration we've seen of this grandmaster. Like, okay, so this is a subgenre of horror I've always enjoyed and in my mind referred to sort of as like dinner theater horror. Like it's like this like there's an event people are invited to, very like Would You Rather, House on Haunted Hill, like who's gonna last? It's gonna be like challenges. Sort of Saw does this in a lot of ways, but she is so. It's like equal parts like heartbroken and gleeful in this role, in a way that like I feel like she truly, in some moments, we see her almost feel like she's doing the right thing by showing them that this is the way the world is.
Right, where she's like, let's just get this over with.
Yeah.
Right, like this is gonna
happen. Let's speed it up.
And she'll say like,
she's like, I may as well be the one right now here showing you.
And she'll
she's
say
like, you know, and I know.
Right.
We all know that this is how misogyny works. This is how the industry works. So let's fucking duke it out. And it's like, oh, we don't want to do that actually. And she's like, yeah, you do.
Yeah, you do. Like, what do we have to do to make that?
And there's also she says like, oh, this is what we could never do. Talking about her sister, like we could never talk about how we felt. See, this is great. Like she's like weirdly encouraged by what's happening because I mean it's like what she's trying to accomplish.
Yeah, but that's what makes that character Harper Dutch so beautiful too, because all of that, like you're saying, is exactly right. But then there's also, you see those flashes of moments where you honestly believe that there's a minute she probably honestly thinks that she could make a comeback with Lee because she's going to fill that hole that her sister had and whatnot. But then she's already on to the next thing of being mad at both of them again or whatever, and pitting them against each other. There's a lot of layers there to Harper Dutch, which I really loved.
I will say that, like, to my earlier point about like the one character taking a long time to figure it out, I feel like there is also the aspect of, this is a really famous person and you're already in this scene, you know these people are insane. So like you're tolerating insanity to some point anyway. But also like the whole movie is about how far you're willing to go. to have this thing you want, this fame. So like I mean I can understand, like it's more that she acts like everything is fine.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's why I had such a visceral reaction to her, because I usually have been the Jordan, like kind of like the ugly one or like the one kind of behind. And I also just like Lee's willingness to be like, yeah, let's fight. She wants us to, let's do it. And it's like, and Jordan is very much like, we got to go, let's get out of here. We're not staying. You're not safe here. And Lee's like, but we should just do it. And at the end, we see her go.
Clearly by the end, like the movie does side with Jordan, is that her name? Which is interesting because I actually think with a few small screenwriting tweaks, those two characters could have been more on equal footing. I mean, I guess that maybe you lose some dramatic tension in the end, but like, what by that I mean, like a lot of friendships and collaborative relationships can have, like, you can have animosity underneath and still love each other. Like that, you could have gone that other direction with it, right? That like, we have issues with each other.
She tried to get Lee out, but Lee was not having it.
Well, that's what it is, though. But so by the end, when Lee is like, nope, the choices Lee makes in the end, I feel like is telling me that the script is taking like a clear, like, side. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's just interesting.
Well, I think because you asked about scenes, the scene that I think, besides the fighting scene, which is pretty iconic, I guess, for the movie, is when near the end, when Harper gives them each costumes and like one goes back at a time to change. And then like when they come out, she's like doing the whole thing again, like going, like leaning into the spiel, putting lipstick and having her like blot her lipstick on her finger, which Eric, I don't think you liked, I guess.
No, thank you.
But I like when they were putting on those costumes and like taking their turns, and she was still pitting them against each other, just like nonstop. And then we knew that like when they're in the costumes, I was like, these are going to be the last outfits we see them in.
I have the same physical reaction watching something like that I do to torture porn. Like it's exactly the same. And they ramp it up because first it's like fingers in people's own mouths, which are still not cool with. But then it was like, it was a step too far. It's too far. I did like that this movie went full Friday the 13th part 2 by having her dress up as the sister at the end. I can only assume that's where the, inspiration.
But was it a mannequin at the end? Because I thought it was Lee dressed up as Hope, but then it was like a mannequin in the wig, in the dress.
Yeah, that's interesting. Now I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it is the whole, it's the same
dressing
plot device that you're talking about. Yeah, but she's so.
I like to think that with the casting of Joshua Leonard and then the casting of Angela Bettis in 12-Hour Shift, that like Grant has like an appreciation for a certain kind of like underutilized horror actor or something. Like they're just two very interesting actors. Like, and also two of my weirdly favorite actors. So I'm weirdly like happy when I see them in movies.
Well, I've always had the impression.
So cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I've always had the impression Bria Grant seems like she's a true fan of horror in the genre. She's always seemed like she's liked acting in them. She's obviously enjoying creating them, writing them, and whatnot. And listen to her, reading her in interviews and stuff. And she seems like she kind of reminds me of Eli Roth in that aspect, that she has a true, genuine love for the genre. But
that's why I wish we knew what was Schnarr's beef. I'm very intrigued.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I texted him.
I think my favorite.
Can we call you live on the show?
Scene too was the. Oh, sorry.
You're fine.
You're fine.
I think my favorite scene was the finger.
The tapping?
Yes. No,
the
severed finger?
The severed finger. And then she just, that was like, I was like, oh, this is definitely the same person that made 12-Hour Shift. There's just like a kind of casualness about body parts. It's like, whatever. I'm done with that thing now.
Yeah. The eyeball in the glass, and then she drops it, and I was like, well, gross.
I was like, take the guns, dude. I mean, I know it hasn't popped off yet, but it couldn't hurt.
Yeah, I know.
Whatever's
just found
happening.
the body parts. It's not going to hurt to have a gun, right?
Whatever's happening.
I know, and she has so much self-preservation. It's strange to me that she doesn't go for that.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
There is a funny moment when she's filling the other girl in, where she's like, no, like some weird stuff, like, like body parts, and like she sort of even says it kind of like not the first thing she says. Like she was like, lots of her stuff, and like, sort of burying
you gotta lead
headline
with the
there.
Her literal severed finger.
Like, I'd be coming out of there like, motherfuckers, I just saw a finger and dropped an eyeball. We got to go.
Are fingers to Brea Grant what feet are to Quentin Tarantino? That's the question I'd like to pose to the jury. It's
I
just a
think
lot
it's
of
more of
fingers.
an eyes to Fulci type of thing. 'Cause I don't know that
Because there's a lot of
the
cut.
Yeah.
There's like a
for
lot of
Quentin Tarantino.
there are a lot
You
of
think it's
actually
a heads to Ari Aster thing?
There
You
we
think
go.
it's-
Yes.
there are actually a lot of cut fingers in this movie too. Like
Yeah, she cut her
Yeah.
finger at the
Yeah.
when she
Thi-
went to pick. I was like, first of all, floor
There
is
were just lots of
disgusting.
fingers.
Don't
This-
pick up that glass. You're gonna cut yourself.
this
And then
lady
she's
is
like,
obsessed with fingers.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
That's interesting.
I do also, as an appreciator of movie shotguns, I did really dig the pink shotgun. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. It was
All the
pretty
pink, the
iconic.
pink urn, the pink fence
Yeah,
around
all
the
the pink
house.
Yeah,
Yeah, I did
Yeah.
like the pink urn.
Mhm.
I like this.
Yeah.
I mean, the house had one of the like that old school Southern like plantation vibe to it, especially with everything like overgrown.
Oh yeah.
I think all the styling was really good. I love all of the fringe on the costumes. It's like
Mhm.
I want
Very-
all that off that thing.
yeah,
Mhm.
the glitter and rhinestones. And I'm a big I was big on Shania Twain and the
Yes.
Chicks and like Martina McBride. Like I was feeling the vibe.
Oh yes.
So I was like,
And
oh
do we
yeah, these
know-
costumes.
Who wrote the music?
I'm looking it up and struggling, but
'Cause
I
straight up, I
I'll
looked for the
keep looking.
soundtrack earlier and was like, I want that truck. What's that one about taking the truck?
taking the
I couldn't
truck,
find it
yeah.
anywhere, and I was
Very
mad.
Chicks, very like Goodbye Earl.
You know, I love that
Mhm.
song.
And Katie Sagal is an incredible singer. I love that we
Yeah.
get to see
Yeah.
her do more of
She
this
really
and
is.
that.
And yeah, me too.
I liked that they made zero effort to make young Katie Sagal look like her. They just didn't
Yeah,
give a
like,
fuck.
yeah.
I'm okay with that. I'll be honest. Sometimes it feels like way too much effort was like poured into that, and then the rest of the movie sinks a little. And I'm like,
I
really?
mean, aren't there
you went
just-
that far with like
Aren't there
Gotta
just
find
like
somebody.
aren't there just AI bots out there now? You can just put a picture in and be like
just have a
20
deep
years
fake?
younger, beep boop, and then you're done. Like that must be possible.
Mhm.
Put a man on the goddamn moon. We should be able to do that.
I did
Photoshop,
like
I don't know.
the like flashback of the TV, or not the flashback, but like the TV where we kind of like
Mhm.
see the old footage, and they're very like Dolly Parton-esque with the hair and like the round faces because they're younger, and it's just it's a
Mhm.
really
Yeah.
good little
Mhm.
snippet.
I'm always a fan of like using a clear promo photo from a movie this person did like 30 years ago or something, like from an old movie, and then you just like
Oh, you mean like any picture?
yeah,
ever on
but then you
Dawson's
just like
Creek of
Photoshop
anybody?
yeah, then you Photoshop the head in and it's terrible looking. That's how I think it should be done.
There's a lot of this movie with the styling and the characters and the way the characters are designed and stuff. I think this would honestly fit really well into a Righteous Gemstones world.
Mhm.
If you've seen any of that, they've kind of a matching Southern style going on between those
Yeah,
two.
it
That's
shares
pretty
a vibe.
impressive.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a vibe. That's a
Mhm.
Southern vibe. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I'll definitely be doing this one on Plug It Up too. There's the like sort of like competitiveness between women and Matilda, like you were saying, the sort of like there's no winners because the system is rigged against
Yeah.
them. It's like it's not either of their faults, even though that's the easier way to, it's easier to blame one another than it is to be like, okay, it's actually just this system that is never going to let us succeed the way we probably should.
Right.
And I really like
Yeah.
that aspect of it.
And I feel like in other movies, the Lee would have been the clear villain and Jordan would have been the clear moral center. And it's a little murkier than that here. And I kind of liked that.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
it made both choices
Yeah.
kind of reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, there's definitely some nuance to it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why it felt like what Harper was kind of creating those self-doubts in them, because they're pretty standard self-doubts you got to think for a woman trying to make it in the music business, especially when Jordan's the one with all the instrumental talent and Lee's the one with the vocal talent and whatnot. And then, that's what makes that part genius, the way that Harper come up with those, because those thoughts, they may not be an issue between the two at the time when we first meet Lee and Jordan, but that they're probably have been thought of before, right? They're floating around there.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like the obvious way to have gone would have been like Harper to be like, she never let me be in front, and and she wasn't like that. She was
That's
like,
what we would have seen like
Right.
10, 20 years ago. Yeah.
yeah, she's like carrying tremendous guilt, and she's like, I need to sacrifice myself more, in fact. Right? Like I need to go away more in order to
Mhm.
make this right.
Right.
Yeah. And I like that. Like, I like that. We do get a little bit of the like, okay, well, Fame won out for one of those characters though, and the character was Lee. You know, Fame did win out.
Mhm.
But then at the end, there are no winners because patriarchy. You know?
Yeah.
And I guess that does make the end with Caleb being the like, you know, cashing in on their, you know, like Elizabeth said, their death battle, even more
Yeah.
poignant. But
That would be a crazy ass news story to wake up to.
I don't know. Like,
what
I always
the
think at the
fuck?
end when there's like one survivor, and we didn't end up with any at this point, but like, how would you explain? Like, I feel like I would be struggling to be like, no,
Yes.
it was them. I survived out of chance.
Well, I mean, that's that there's that whole deal in like Scream 5 about
I
that.
was gonna say Scream, like,
Yeah.
Or Scream 4,
yeah.
or Scream 4, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big part of Grady Hendrix's final girl support group too.
Mhm.
I want to read that still.
It's good.
Any other moments we want to highlight here before we move along?
Just
I think we
kudos to
covered
the
it.
styling team and to the I don't know. I was at first I was like, I don't know, are they gonna feed us these like 20-second clips of songs that are like not very well produced? But like Elizabeth said, they are like decently well produced, and you know,
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I believe it now.
Well,
at first I was like,
They thankfully get better as the movie goes on. I actually think they start out
Yeah.
pretty shitty. And when they need to have emotional impact later on, they get better. Like, it's kind of funny when they're like, they play this last song in the beginning and they're like, the manager's mad and they're like, yeah, he just wants to be like a country pop duo. I'm like, that's what I just heard, like, of you.
yeah,
up on
it
stage.
was, yeah.
You're not fucking Johnny Cash. Chill.
Rock and roll.
Jesus
I mean, they're
Christ.
majorly impressive session musicians, all of them, because they were improving on the fly.
Yes.
Like, damn, girl. I mean, I'm like, okay, coming in with some like mid-range harmony, like,
yeah.
okay.
Right. We're,
Okay.
right. When we're
Just-
just
And she
riffing.
started her career doing a lot of session stuff, right? Didn't she? Like, she
I
was-
believe, yeah. She's
like,
really
I
good.
know she sang backup on like Gene Simmons' solo
Mhm.
album.
This is
and
Katie
stuff, and,
Sagal?
like all these. Katie
Oh,
Sagal.
interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Love it. All right. Would you recommend this movie, Matilda?
Yes.
Caitlin?
Yes.
Casey?
Yeah.
Elizabeth?
Yeehaw.
I would also say yes. And yeah, so that's like 5 thumbs up for this movie. I will say, Caitlin, on the other side of this break, let's get my top 10 list out because I know I just
Oh,
got
yeah.
some straight garbage at the bottom of it. So let's clean some of that out.
As you do.
All right, everyone, let's take a quick break and do some fan mail.
It began in the outer reaches of the universe.
They're coming!
An alien war that spread throughout the galaxies. Now, the final battle has landed in the Browns' backyard. Critters. Check them out at a theater before they check you out at home. Critters. Rated PG-13.
Critters opening soon at a theater near you.
Greetings from Tromaville. This is Lloyd Kaufman, president of Troma Entertainment and creator of The Toxic Avenger. The Troma team likes to kick back and listen to Bloody Good Horror because Bloody Good Horror is the best television there is.
Send feedback to info@bloodygoodhorror.com or on Twitter using hashtag AskBGH. Join Patreon to get back episodes and much more. Patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror.
I truly believe that there may be no greater accomplishment in my life than having Lloyd Kaufman say that Bloody Good Horror is the best TV there is.
Yeah, I know.
It's why I still do this, just to honor him.
It is one of my favorites.
I should shout out to Jason from Dad's in the Crypt. It's actually gotten us like a bunch of pretty sweet bumpers in the last couple months. I just need time to edit them. But yeah,
Jason
I
is
literally-
so well connected.
I
It's
know
like
he really is.
so impressive.
he's dogged in his pursuit, which
I physically
appreciate.
bumped into oh my gosh.
PJ
I knew I was gonna, yep, thank you. PJ Souls. I love you, girl. Did not mean to bump into you in the women's restroom at the Hilton, but
So you went
and-
to the Joe Bob convention in Memphis.
oh yeah, I did.
How was that?
Well, so I went to the convention, which was a separate event apparently from the drive-in
hmm
happenings where it was like a live show. Those were very expensive tickets that I
They were like $150
Yeah.
a night. That's fucking
just
crazy.
not in the budget right now. But the convention tickets weren't quite as well. Let's be real. Eric bought it for me for my birthday, so thanks, bro. But it was a little underwhelming. But I don't have a ton of experience with conventions, and so I'm not. It's
Yeah,
entirely
I'd be
possible in my
curious.
mind. I'm just like,
I'd be curious too to hear from people who did have convention experience,
Well,
like how it
so
stacked up. But for starters, the idea that they were not at the convention signing autographs, then why the fuck are you having a convention at the Joe
Right.
Bob thing? Like,
well, and there wasn't even like a vendor. There was no outlet to purchase Joe Bob anything. Like there was no like I was gonna get several people like pin whatever like shirts.
I wonder
pins.
if that's
nothing.
because like Fright Rags has that license and maybe they just weren't there.
Maybe.
There was also another convention I saw, and I think Phoenix or something that weekend. So I wonder if there was like some
Oh,
competition.
interesting.
But
But there was like a Tiny Tots beauty pageant right next door to this. So it was like a real interesting mix of like Lil Mama,
Real life
Boo
horror?
Boo, like whatever that like. Yeah, yes, real life horror. And my
Yes.
so Natalie of Natalie Katona, friend of the show, she and I sat outside for a second, like, who is this person here for? And then like you would see like literally like a sequin Christmas tree that's a 3-year-old like toddle up behind them and be like, oh, they're going to the, they're going to the beauty show.
yeah, it was also like just blazing hot in Memphis that weekend.
It
So
was
I wonder how
horrific.
comfortable the drive-in could have possibly been. Like,
I almost had a heat stroke on Saturday, the day we went to the con. So I don't think I would have it.
anybody who was there, I'd love to hear a report. hear
I'm
about what-
curious too. I grew up going to that drive-in, the summer drive-in. It's awesome.
Love it. Caitlin, let's look at my top 10 list here, and then we got some time, so we got a couple things on the agenda.
Yeah, we need to talk about the trailer for Halloween. We have Plug It Up news. We got all kinds of news to get into. But Eric, you have a full 10 right now.
Yeah, I know for a fact. I can't remember what it is, but I have just a pile of garbage at number 10. But the top 5, the bottom 5 in general is weak.
All right, you want me to read through your 10?
Give me 6 through 10.
Okay, 6 through 10. Number 6, you've got Scream. 7, The Cursed. 8, Monstrous. 9, The Seed. And 10, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022.
Boot the Seed.
Okay.
I did love that bus. I
Good.
did love that bus scene in that Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. Like, the rest of that movie sucked ass, but that scene was so much fun.
Where do you want to put? Do you want to put that? So
put
are we
this at
bumping that to put in
this
Torn
at
Hearts?
put this at 9. Yeah, you can swap
Okay.
it out here. All right, let's talk to our friends here. Matilda, you come to us this evening from the Zombie Girls podcast.
I do, which is a bigger network of podcasts, as people who've been listening to this are aware. And I'm on the original Zombie Girls podcast.
No big deal.
And people can find us on the socials at ZG Podcasts.
Awesome. What do you guys have going on over there right now?
We are working on a live show for Midsummer.
Nice.
Ooh.
About to
Yeah.
figure out a bracket. Gonna do a little bracket challenge of who's going in the bear suit and who's gonna be the May Queen. Not among us, just like in the world. So
In the world.
Nice.
I like it.
send us your ideas.
So many
I have some
candidates for the
nominees.
bear suit.
I
Yeah.
have some
Yeah.
nominees.
I nominate Mitch McConnell for the bear suit. How's that sound?
Yeah.
How many men can the bear suit fit?
How many bear
We
suits
need
do
hella
we?
bears.
How many bear suits
I'm gonna need a big bear.
slash fire huts do we have? Because it's yeah,
Hell, I'll
Um,
build some TVs.
love it. That's the Zombie Girls
Yeah.
ZG podcast. Is that what you said it was?
hmm
All right, Elizabeth, you do podcasts and YouTube stuff. Why don't you tell me where people can see and hear you?
Yes. You could check out Cinemondo on Instagram or YouTube. We have too much fun over there, you guys. It's trailer.
Cinemondo is Kathy's show. Kathy's also a big like
It
BGH
is,
fan
yeah.
and supporter.
Fellow Slacker and BGH fan. Yeah, it's super fun. We do movie reviews, trailer reactions. It is a podcast. I have yet to be able to block out enough time to actually do a podcast episode, but get to hop on YouTube with them, and it's super fun. Also, recently was on To All the Men I've Tolerated Before with Natalie Katona. Always a good time. I visit Zombie Girls every once in a while. Plug it up, of course, with Caitlin.
The stylist,
here.
yeah.
Yes, the stylist. That's actually probably the most recent thing I've done.
Love it.
So, yeah.
And on socials, you are Final Girl Scout.
That's right.
Love it. Caitlin, what's going on over on Plug It Up?
Oh, it's been a good few weeks. Had a good run of episodes. This week is probably one of the biggest releases. We did Midsummer, which, is a movie very close to me.
Love that movie.
Longest episode yet, coming in right at like 2 hours. So,
It's a good one.
Oh, thank you. Buckle up. It's a long one, but
I still maintain I could get into that community if not for everybody sleeping in the same room with the babies. Couldn't we make a different hut for the babies? Like, I don't, like maybe 2 to 3 miles away.
You're cool with the
I'm
cliff
sleeping.
dive at 75. So
Listen, I'm not going to be by 75. Like,
no,
cool.
you're so like honed microchip. Like,
well, because I have to be.
You
Because
will
I'm slowly
outlive
deteriorating.
everyone. Yeah.
Maybe I'll get lucky. I feel like the people who outlive everyone are the ones that like just drink their
Eat
lunch and
Doritos
eat bacon for
and
dinner every
Mountain
day.
Dew.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good episode. And then also the big announcement is that I finally have merch. There's not a lot of it, but there's some merch, and you can find it at the Instagram and Twitter pages, which are both Plug It Up Pod. If you go to the link in the bio and click merch, it'll take you to the Redbubble store.
Love it. Someone alert Alan merch. There's merch here. Get your merch. Casey, what's the haps on Twitter.com?
On Twitter.com. Let's see
We'll
here.
We'll
we have
save.
a hashtag.
I want to save the Halloween trailer for next week because we made Schnarr's promise not to watch it, so he can watch it live on air.
Yeah. Priorities.
I wish I had thought about this for the monsters. My God, what a golden!
I still haven't watched it.
Wait, which one?
Yeah.
The Monsters. Oh, well,
Okay.
either.
All right. We got a couple tweets out there on our Ask BGH hashtag. You got questions? Ask us. Hashtag Ask BGH.
I thought you were going to say we got answers.
First one comes from @LeakyPencils. Are there any horror movies you consider to be summer movies where you only feel like watching them during this time of year? For example, Sleepaway Camp doesn't hit as hard in January.
Agreed. My big one for this is Return of the Living Dead. Because it's
Eric, what does your shirt say right now?
Oh,
Right,
Jaws. I mean,
Jaws.
that's
Oh
fine.
my
It's
God.
Return
Yeah.
for me. But I could watch Jaws any time of the year. I have summer appointment movies, and like in and around 4th of July, because that's when it's set. I like have to watch Return of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
That's fair. Also, I know what you did last summer? That's 4th of July weekend too, I'm pretty sure.
It is.
Yeah.
We had a great Zombie Girls 4th of July watch of the Bay last year.
Oh, I
was a
love
really
that
good
one.
4th of July one. It's a little rough with the eco horror right now, but
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's a good 4th of July movie.
Jaws too. I mean, Jaws is pretty solid for summertime.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I usually save Jaws for the summertime too.
The other big one for me is, although I will watch it. Oh shit, I'm blanking now. Oh, Creep Show is another one. Although I watch that probably
Oh, you watched that.
probably watch that 4 times a year at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One.
You watched that.
Midsummer too. We
Yeah,
gotta
for sure.
Technically, The Raft is a springtime movie, right? From the Creep Show.
Creep
Oh,
Show
it is
2.
Spring Break, I think.
Creep Show 2 is the
There's-
raft, and it's set in fall.
Wow. How do you have that so quick? And
Was
it's
it fall
already-
or spring? Because the water was cold.
Because they make a comment about how they can't believe the dock is still in the water. In other words, like it should have been pulled in for the season already.
Mm.
Yeah. Good call.
I've also seen
All
that
right.
movie 100 times.
Next one comes from everybody's favorite @CEO_W Flanagan. Y'all ever replace heart with fart in song lyrics and tittles? Sometimes I sing 2 farts to my poster of Schnars.
It's a great pick of Schnars.
Man, oh God, yeah. So he posted a picture of Schnars like post run with these like real short shorts on, and he
His
put
tiny shorts.
what did he use to censor his thigh? It was like a heart or something.
It was lit with a little flame.
Oh, it was like a flame. Is like yeah. Schnars is kind of flashing some inner thigh there. I like it.
Yeah.
I like to think that he's walking around with that picture on his phone.
I hope it's his background. Like, I think pull the Michael Scott Total Eclipse of the Fart, Achy Breaky Fart.
Oh yeah.
I will often to myself sing songs with really filthy lyrics, like just for no reason whatsoever. I find it satisfying.
I am a connoisseur of making up all sorts of dumb songs to other songs, like about the dog or something. So.
Oh, I'm a fan of that. I grew up in a
about the
household
pets.
with some extreme OCD, and we were not allowed to talk about basically any butt stuff. That's the easiest way to say it. So like when I hear fart, it literally like still. It's like I think how some people can't say like vagina, peanut, whatever. Like their word, like it's hard for me. That's a hard one.
Oh man, and my kids think it's like the goddamn funniest thing that has ever happened when someone fart, and like. I don't know how other people in their lives react to it, but I can't do anything but laugh because it is hilarious. They're right.
Oh,
I mean, I don't disagree.
Yeah.
All right, the last tweet out here comes from our buddy Skizbot. It's a good one too. What musician do you think is most likely to become a homicidal maniac? It's been 23 years, and I'm dreading the day Garth Brooks' dark half, Chris Gaines, returns to kill again.
Chris Gaines. I mean, have you seen Madonna lately? I feel like
I know
she's got some real crazy energy going on that I feel like could end in death.
Psycho Biddy energy.
Yeah.
I feel like
That's an
Roger
interesting
Waters
question.
is pretty close to losing it completely. Like he's a little bit on a tip of like, I'm the most important person. So I feel like he could go over.
Eric Clapton's gonna fall the other way.
Yeah, you know who I was just gonna think in like the opposite direction is a person that I don't even like their music, but Bob Weir of the Grateful Dead. I started following him on Instagram, and he's like a very interesting Zen old dude. And I actually ended up like taking a bunch of workout advice from him because he's like in really good shape.
I feel like it's gonna be someone younger, like Shawn Mendes, one of those like younger ones.
Yeah.
I feel like there's something lurking beneath the surface there.
Oh yeah, I could see that. Like one of the little Disney.
Yeah,
girls, like any of these people.
I'm gonna go with the Island Boys.
Which one?
The Island Boys.
The Island Boys.
Oh God. Well, I mean that's
that's an easy one.
Yeah.
Or like the most slighted member of the boy band, right? Like the kind of going with the torn heart.
Joey
thing.
Fatone.
The Howie.
Of Joey Fatone. The Howie.
I would go with Howie. Yeah, if we're talking about the slighted one. Or
I was gonna go see Hanson with some friends, but I learned that they are like hardcore evangelical and have said and done some awful like political stuff lately, and I'm just heartbroken because I loved Hanson as a kid.
Matilda, so. How about Chris from NSYNC?
Chris Kirkpatrick with the dumb hair.
Yeah, with his
He's gonna murder whoever his stylist is. He's gonna go on like a stylist killing.
Oh my good
Lord. He's gotta be chill though.
Chris Kirkpatrick was actually on Celebrity Big Brother this last time around, and he was actually pretty chill. He seemed, I liked him.
You know who I would not be surprised to learn as a serial killer? Brian Adams.
Oh.
Brian Adams. Interesting.
Don't know why. There's just some. I would just be like, okay, yeah.
Nobody's gonna pick Cher with like an Elizabeth Bathory type setup.
That's a real good.
How very dare you?
We could talk about. We could talk about.
I want to see a piece of pop art or something with that.
We could talk about Army Hammer, like legit maybe eating people and being into.
Doesn't he feel like he's telling timeshares now?
I was gonna say, don't say his name too many times. He's gonna try and sell you.
Oh my God! Speaking of him, I was on a flight like a month ago, and I tried to watch Death on the Nile. Because I watched Murder on the Orient Express, and like I went to the theater to see it. Really enjoyed it. It's just a fun movie. This Death on the Nile thing is like one of the worst goddamn things I've ever seen. But he's in it, and that's what reminded me of that. It's just bad. Oh my god. That's it.
All right, that's all the tweets.
Word. We have breaking Twitter news. Caitlin, is it Instagram? Is it your birthday tomorrow?
It is my birthday tomorrow.
Happy
Happy
birthday.
birthday.
Thank you. Thank you.
Happy
Thank you.
birthday.
Your friend told us.
Oh, Nick. He's the best.
This is a great one.
Thank you.
What was the first podcast you really got into?
Nerdist.
Nerdist was up there.
So how long has that been around? Like when was that?
I got into them around 2012, but I think they've been around longer. But that was like the first podcast that I like weekly was like, all right, let's go. Got to get this new episode.
That's interesting. I think Sex Nerd Sandra, which was on the Nerdist, was mine.
Mm-hmm. Matilda.
Yeah,
what do you got?
Gosh, I don't remember.
Bloody Good Horror was pretty early on for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's all of our answers.
I do hear. I mean, I do hear that a
Yeah.
lot because we've just been around for like so long.
Yeah.
I tried out a few. Like you were one of a couple, and it's just the one that stuck. The others fell by the wayside.
Mine were 2007 was when I basically by the end of 2007 we had launched this show, and I discovered podcasts in like it must have been early 2007. And the big things were Night of the Living podcast. They were like the OG horror pod. Like they were around about a year and a half before we were. And they had maybe like 50 episodes or maybe more, maybe like around there somewhere.
I
And
found
like,
BGH on a list from somewhere that was like best horror podcast, and found Night of the Living podcast, and I can't remember who else.
And when I say I obsessively binged that show like over and over, I mean like I knew that episodes of that show like I do Office episodes. Like I was obsessed with it. And then we ended up meeting them, becoming friends. Like that's been a cool journey with them. But they were definitely the OGs. Then the other one was not horror. It's this one's still around. It's called Hardcore History, and it's by this guy named Dan Carlin, who's like a former radio host and like amateur historian, and he does like deep dives on historical topics. But what I like about it is it's not produced really. It's like he'll just start going and just like I mean, I'm sure he's editing some, but like one stream of consciousness, almost like a radio show, walk you through whatever this history like subject is or whatever.
Nice.
And he has like one I would recommend like on the assassination of Franz Ferdinand that sort of kicked off World War I in earnest. Like one of the best things I've ever heard. But what was frustrating about that show is these episodes are not regularly released, and they went from being like every 3 months to every 6 months to almost like every year now, or like, so it's frustrating to be into something and like not.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was pretty obsessed with that too. And
It's so frustrating when they peter out.
It was before me having an iPhone too. So I was explaining this a lot of times when I tell people we've been around since 2007, I get confused looks, and I'm like, yeah, like I didn't have an iPhone. I had an iPod Nano. I would download them to my iTunes and then sync it.
Yeah, that's how I did it.
100%. Yeah.
Or
do the old sync, and it'd be like, okay, let's go. I gotta get in the car. I gotta go to work.
Gotta go to the gym.
Right, I gotta get on a plane. I need like 10 of these.
Right.
Or an even more mystical device that my father still has and uses, which is an iPod Shuffle, which was the dumbass little thing without a screen on it.
Dude, those things
like a clip.
You basically
broke my brain.
I
didn't understand how to even like get it away from me.
You basically had to know Braille in order to operate that.
Basically.
But no, it would it's like 3 things for next song. It's similar to what you would do now with like an AirPod, but what it would do is a voice would tell you the name of like if you were on a playlist or something. Like you couldn't really scroll the same way, but you could set up playlists and then just like play them. It was a cool like form factor though. I had one for a little bit. That thing also charged through the headphone port, which always seems like black magic to me. Like I don't understand how that works.
Come a long way, baby.
Podcast, man. The other one I remember, horror one I remember being around is Dinner for Fiends, it was called. That might still be a thing, but it was Dread Central's podcast. They were one of the early ones. And Rue Morgue has had a podcast for about the same amount of time, but I'm going to be real with you. Going back to like the 2000s, I always found Rue Morgue like too pretentious. Like,
Yeah.
I liked
My
being a
God.
pretentious
We're
horror
gonna have a
fan.
nemesis
Dude,
rival
listen.
podcast.
There's certainly an audience out there for it, but man, you want to talk about smelling your own farts. Go read some room work. All right, here we go. Do you ever get that thing where your heart/chest hurts if you breathe too deep? Scary. Yeah, actually I do. Anytime I start running again after having run for a while, I definitely deal with like chest pain.
Yeah.
Mine comes to like an anxiety place, but yeah. I feel
Yeah,
it.
I think mine's more anxiety driven, but yeah.
I can, in fact,
Yeah,
I can. Go ahead.
I have pulled my my chest muscle before, and that really makes you feel like you're having a heart attack on your left
Oh,
side. You Google
God.
anything about that, and it's like,
Yeah.
proceed, do not pass go,
Mm.
Yeah. ER.
That sounds
proceed directly.
horrible.
Yeah, yeah. And I pulled my pectoral muscle.
Oh.
And my doctor was like, I know you're going to be anxious about this, so I'm going to give you like the highest test about this. You're going to get a stress EKG. Do you know what this is?
Yeah, it's where you run on a treadmill.
It's where you run on a treadmill, and then they throw you down real fast and
take all your vitals.
put
and
the
stuff.
EKG on you.
Yeah.
They do not tell you this. You are not allowed to wear a bra for this test.
Oh,
They keep
What?
access to you.
fuck that.
Oh my lord.
Run without a bra? I would no. I'll pass.
It is.
Damn, that's serious.
I'm never complaining about anything again at the doctor's.
I can remember. I can remember actually having chest pain, like playing sports in high school and being like if you need more proof that I've always been 90, just being like, guys, this can't be right. Like, I feel like I'm having a heart attack.
Since 6th grade, I've been like, I think this is the big one.
This is the one. Oh,
Take me
man.
out.
I smell toast. Gotta go, y'all.
So relate to that. I'm just gonna say this person's name because I like it. Microgasm responded to your question. Finally listened to Limetown. Amazing. Now what? I like this message because it has big Eric energy to listen to a podcast like 10 years after it came out and be like, guys, have you heard of this Limetown?
I love
That's
it.
delightful. Yeah, Limetown is the shit. It's a really great podcast.
There you go.
Oh, you know what? I do have a
Plug it
recommendation.
up.
The Video Palace is the other one you want to check
Yeah,
out.
that's a good one.
It is the only other horror narrative podcast I've ever heard that's good. It came from Shudder, and it's on iTunes. You can also like listen to it on Shudder on the browser and stuff. But it's dope. It's about a guy tracking down these old mysterious VHS that he then finds like open up a portal to like other planes of existence or something. There's a lot to like. It's good. I would not recommend Limetown season 2. Like, it's not the worst thing, but they take it in a weird direction. Like, it goes from horror to like sci-fi in a way I didn't really like.
There's a good Rachel and Ariel turned me on to Lovecraft Investigations. Have any of you listened to that one? It's like a BBC horror narrative one, and there's a few seasons, and I keep waiting for the new one.
Interesting.
It's one of those ones where they just put something new, and I was like, oh my God, it showed up in my podcast feed, but it's just some ad for something else.
I am just
worse.
incredibly picky about that stuff. Like, because I don't think it's not my favorite. So the one stuff I like is just the stuff that really kind of rises up. Because the other big one for a while around the same time in Limetown was the Black Tapes, but it just kind of, I felt like lost its way. And
Oh yeah, I tried that one. That one didn't stay with me.
This one stayed good. I think there's 3 or 4 seasons.
I'm looking it up now, Matilda. Thank you for the recommendation.
There is CBS actually has a feed where they post old like horror radio dramas. You'd have to Google it if you Google like CBS radio or something this is the nerdiest thing maybe I've ever done, but I got way into Fallout 4. And the best thing about those Fallout games is you have the little like thing on your arm that it's like your menu, but it's like you can play radio stations, and they have all this like radio stations you can tune into as you're walking around the wasteland. But there were mods you can install on PC where other people would like have audio files for new radio stations. And one of them was like a 24-hour loop of old horror serials or like old horror radio serial things. So you could just like plop that on and there'd be like ambience in the background and like
That's cool.
pretty neat. I played Fallout 4 for like 100 hours. So it was worth it, There you go. I had more time on my hands back then. All right. Love it. Don't forget to check out patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror. You could be watching a live video stream of the show right now. You can get all the back episodes. You can get access to our Slack community and other delightful stuff. Oh, and early release episodes. You can get them Thursday night before they come out. So there you go. Have them.
Is that all the Instagram?
Yes. Yeah, that was it.
Damn.
The last one was your birthday, which I already said.
Thank you.
Yeah, so don't forget to check out Matilda on the Zombie Girls. Check out Elizabeth. That's not your name. On To All the Men I've Tolerated and Cinemondo and Plug It Up and Thor's Hour of Thunder. And I think you might be on the most podcasts of anyone here. I love it. Casey,
wait for a paycheck, you guys.
Casey, would you like to show us your drawing you've been working on during the show?
Oh yeah, it's actually I didn't get too far with it, but let's see if we can see it there.
Oh, I like it.
Oh,
just
like
the start.
Salt and pepper shakers.
Yeah.
For eyes. If people want to see your art, what are you on Instagram?
I am on Instagram as cinema.fromage, and if you go out there and check my bio, there I have a link to my link tree out there, and you can find my new sticker collection out on Redbubble. Professor Fromage and his Far Out Friends.
sweet.
So,
Love it. Awesome. Check that out. And I'm Eric BGH everywhere. So there you have it. All right, everyone, that's going to do it for Torn Hearts. Hope you enjoyed the show, and we will see you next week for Nope.
Ooh. Bye, y'all.
Woo.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
bye-bye.